Welcome to the broadcast, a podcast where some friends get together and talk about gaming-related stuff and offer somewhat informed and uninformed opinions. I'm Luminary, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Imi, the Eternal Barcode.
Hello.
And Crit Chicken from the Emerald Dream.
Hello there.
Today we're going to be talking about harassment, scams, and bans, and we're going to cover a lot of territory today because harassment's a huge one, so stick around and enjoy the show. So let's kick this off. The first thing that was on our list to tackle was harassment. Yes. We're going to go ahead and start off with our Guilty Gear story. The whole DLC character that Guilty Gear Strive released in, I believe, in their Game Pass 2, called Bridget. Bridget is a girl, transgender female, and there was an email that went around that was spoofing ArcSoft's. Was it ArcSoft, Imi? I think it's ArcSoft.
Arc System Works.
Everything soft system works. It's just Game Workshop Shop from Soft Global. Who knows? Anyway,
from Soft we will be talking about later.
Oh yeah,
Coincidentally.
So there's it seems like
scene change.
Oh, that again. We need to talk to our crew about dealing with our scene changes.
Hey, there we go.
Scribble something down rapidly. Okay. Either way, there was an email that went out that spoofed the Arc Systems customer support talking about this particular character, and it had lit a fire underneath the internet's, the gaming internet's ass about, hey, is this a male or a female? Is it transgender? What's going on? And, well, they're seeking official verification from Arc Systems, and Arc Systems like, yo, hey, we've already written this into the lore. It's in the game. We don't have to release an official statement. It's canon. So let's talk about this. Why are people so... what's a good word for this?
Goddamn fucking stupid.
Well, that's a few words. Tied up in if a character is male or female, and why does it matter? I mean, if you look inside of a news discussion, I found some of the backstory for that particular character, which was rather interesting. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I did not know. I know very little about this character, only the fallout from what's been going on and people losing their goddamn minds who just need to sit down and shut up for 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, the excerpt I found was actually one of the articles that we posted. It's just to give you some background on this character. Bridget was born one of two twin sons of a multi-billionaire couple and was given only the best training and tutoring as a child. However, Bridget's upbringing was what one would expect for a daughter of a high society family instead of a son. There was a reason for this. Bridget's hometown had a superstitious belief that male twins brought misfortune. So that's a whole different type of phobia. But it's introduced here to explain why Bridget is a girl, right? The townspeople were so embedded in this belief that they insisted the younger of any set of male twins be put to death or be exiled from the town upon birth. Unable to swallow either of these options, the twins' parents raised Bridget as a daughter. While Bridget strove to put on a happy front, these efforts only seemed to cause Bridget's parents more pain. Bridget began to think that behaving like a man and bringing home a vast array of riches would prove that the superstitions were unfounded. Although unsuccessful in capturing Dizzy for her bounty, Bridget showed talent as a bounty hunter and managed to bring home great wealth. This led to the village superstition fading, but also left Bridget without a goal. Bridget now works as a bounty hunter while searching for and it's covered up by whatever. But that's that's the backstory behind this character. This is the reason why we have a trans female joining the fray, and the lore behind this. And I actually did I went down the internet hole to kind of pull this out. Bridget was referred to as a boy in earlier iterations of Guilty Gear. And Guilty Gear is one of the most competitive fighting game spaces out there in gaming right now. So why does the gaming community really care about an official statement from Arc Systems whether Bridget is male or female when it's already in their lore?
Well,
I think they. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
No, you.
Honestly, I mean, people are trying to like undermine Bridget and her backstory and stuff like that, and I guess it's just they're afraid to question their own sexuality over a fictional character, I guess, for representing the trans community. But you have different characters in different genres and different video games that actually have the same thing, that they're born male and they transition. I mean, look at Poison from Final Fight. And if you go into anime, you could see different characters as well, or manga. If you read Trigun, you have Elendira, the Crimson Nail. Beautiful, yet she can still whoop your ass. So it's just, people have that, I guess, fear of attraction that they don't understand, I guess.
Fear of attraction. Interesting way to put it. What did you have? What were you going to say, Amy?
Nowhere near anything that eloquent.
Ah,
Like that's better than I could have put it. I think it's a lot of it stems from society is changing rapidly because we're growing and we're learning that a lot of our past behaviors are not acceptable, and we're learning more about ourselves and what it means to truly be yourself instead of being stuck in a mold. I mean, growing up, I always heard like, computers are bad. Don't stay on the computer too long. You got to find a real job. And then when I started into the IT industry, it's like, well, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to get a real job? But people now have changed and they've realized that computers are fucking useful. And me being in the IT field now, they're sort of like, oh, okay, well, maybe we were wrong. And I think that's part of it. Is just society is always so slow to change, and we're seeing this overall. I'm gonna use the word. It's gonna piss off some people. It's gonna be great. We're seeing this transition from, you can only do one of two things in your entire life. The really ridiculously labeled heteronormative jobs of like a boy job, a girl job. That sort of shit's going by the wayside because people are growing up and they're realizing, you know what? No, I can be a father and I can be, a stay-at-home dad while my wife goes out and rakes in the like is the primary breadwinner, that sort of thing. And then to see more and more video games including trans characters, I think a lot of people who are just afraid of change are seeing this coming at such a high speed. They don't know what to do and they don't know how to handle it. So they take it out in the form of, they take their fear of change out in the form of aggression and anger, which of course never works out for them. And, I think we're going to see a lot more of this, both video games, including more diverse characters and more backlash each time it comes out. But I do like the one person who quote tweeted the Arc System Works statement that they put out, which is it's a really bland statement, but it kind of makes sense. I'll read it out for you. And this is what they said once everything blew up. Our customer support has become aware that someone has impersonated them and fabricated images to look like an official response. ASW will not individually answer questions relating to content that is not published in game or on our website. Basically, what that non-answer answer says: if we didn't write it, we don't give a shit. You know, treat it as fan fiction at this point. And then some guy quote tweets this, and he says, by the way, for anyone who is confused as to what this is about, the weirdos who can't accept the confirmed in-game text explicitly stating that Bridget is trans made up a fake email pretending to be an official response from Arc Systems, lying that Bridget wasn't trans. Cope harder, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And apparently, a bunch of people in his replies got even more pissed off. They're like, a bunch of the replies to this are already going, make an official statement. I like this part of his message. They did, you fucking morons. It's in the game. You can go
we put
play
it
it
in
right
there.
now. Yeah, you can go play it right now. Bridget's arcade mode and the fucking character encyclopedia both state Bridget is a girl. You are dumb. This is the greatest answer I've ever read in a long ass time for dealing with bullshit like this, and I thoroughly appreciate this person for having written that.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of this also stems from fandom because Guilty Gears is not a new series; it's been around for quite some time, and this DLC character is a reintroduction of a character from a previous iteration, where they were referred to as male or as a boy. So I can see where it's the same thing with like the Star Wars folks, maybe Star Trek too, depending on who you get into, about what is and isn't and what ruins their shape of the reality that's been presented before them, right? So
Yeah, I don't know why fandoms are so toxic, other than people get this headcanon going that fits the narrative that they want to see. And when the authors don't do what they think should be done, they lose their goddamn minds. And I mean, I will always come back to WoW with how the community treats a lot of the writers, a lot of the artists, and stuff like that, and the employees of Blizzard, um, especially the women, when the storylines don't go the way they want. I mean, it was either, no, it wasn't BFA, it was for Shadowlands. People lost their goddamn minds over the Sylvanas storyline, which Crit Chicken will have much more information on that because I am not a lore buff by any stretch of the imagination. But people lost their minds over the direction they took Sylvanas. But when you think about it, Sylvanas has always been a Horde person. Horde has always, since Warcraft 1, has always been the quote unquote bad guys. And just because she was somewhat good in Legion and somewhat good in BFA, people lost their fucking minds that they returned the Horde to what they were. And like I said, I just think it's just a lot of people who don't know how to deal with change and refuse to change and grow up, really.
yeah.
It was, I think, what the person that was imitating the group was, they were trying to retcon Bridget back into being, or not even back into, but into being het or whatever, or cis or whatever. I'm sorry. It's one of those moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh. I bet they would lose their minds over Birdo being originally male too.
It's just pure cringe is what those people are doing. It's like, you don't work for the company that's making this. If this doesn't meet your expectations, put your money somewhere else and shut the fuck up. Let
And
other people enjoy it. If you don't like it because someone made a change, then fuck right off. That's fine. You can not like something. You can also just fuck right off
and
and let
that's
people enjoy their shit.
and that's
It's
what
like,
happened to the Domina dev. People.
wow, that game had such promise. I did enjoy watching a few streams about it.
It looked good.
And then he went off the COVID bullshit and anti-vax, anti-everything stance, and
Antihistamine.
yeah, basically, and just went off the fucking deep end.
Well, this guy was just a complete shit person anyway. I took just that one link that you provided on our show card and went
Yeah.
down, like I had like 18 tabs open reading up on this guy and what's happened, what's going.
Yeah.
He is wiped from the face of Steam altogether. Yep. You can't find him, his publishing company, his games. He is done. He's no longer in SteamDB. Like, he was nuked out of existence.
Yep.
Right.
And rightly so, because when you start putting in anti-vax, anti-government, anti-immigration, anti-trans, homophobic shit, all kinds of shit in your patch notes for a fucking video game? No, just get the fuck out of here. Go sit down under your rock where you belong, or remove your head from your ass and grow up like the rest of us and move on with your life. Like, holy shit. Because I remember watching people play that game and it had a lot of promise. It was a lot of fun to watch. But as soon as the first time I heard that he was throwing in, I think it was anti-trans stuff, or transphobic stuff. As soon as I first saw that in one of his patch notes, I was like, nope, never going. Because I was tempted to buy the game, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh fuck no, I'm not going to touch this shit. And then people for the longest time were, trying to get it kicked off Steam, and rightly so, because what he was saying was pretty inflammatory and pretty hurtful. And it does violate Steam's TOS, but it did take Steam a while to do it, which kind of irks me. But hey, he's gone now, so at least he's gone now.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, because this is not a new story. This has been happening for quite some time, and like towards the end, Jim Sterling actually got involved and was, poking the bear, so to say. But aside from, okay, so I understand that things are going on that are not to your liking, and there's a forum for that. But in your patch notes, if you're like, fixed an audio bug, I fixed your mouse cursor, we added in four new items for you to play with your particular whatever it is. By the way, don't wear masks. Quit being an idiot. It won't get you laid. Like that's like the level of things that were actually coming through all of this. So
Wait, what form?
Yeah.
What form was this?
it was his own. It was in his patch notes. So like whenever he released the patch notes for his for his game, it'd have stuff like that. And he got into a fight in his own. He got banned from his own community.
Yeah, he got banned from his own Steam forums. That was great.
For generally being a shit person and just spouting off all of this rhetoric that you would normally find from the alt-right of just like, it was just terrible. And the anti-trans statement actually also came in a patch note as well. And man, so it started off with the first bullet point of dead name Dominus, which is what he named it, and then just went on this whole tirade on what is a man and so forth and so on, and was really targeting one specific Twitter user who has suffered Twitch user. They're both, I guess, who is a trans female and has been swatted. Let me name drop that real quick. What was her name?
Keffals, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes, Keffals.
That's her Twitch name. But yeah, she got swatted by London police in Ontario, and London police were less than useful, we'll say.
Indeed.
But like, yeah, she's been getting harassed a lot. She had to flee the country, got harassed even more, and then he's thrown that shit up in his patch notes. Like, what the hell?
It was, and it went to the extreme of even ordering pizzas. They like the internet investigators of the alt-right, or what was the name of that group that we're going to talk about next week?
Kiwifarms.
Kiwifarms. Yeah. It's like, it's not like your Pepperidge Farms. It's Kiwifarms.
Yeah, and not for fruit. Literally a bunch of fucking morons.
But can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another pun. So instead of dead name Domina, it's dead game Domina.
Ah, there we go.
Holy shit. So as of September 1st, I just pulled them up on the web archive. 1,300 negative reviews were dropped within the last 30 days as of September 1st, right before he got booted off. That's amazing.
But back to the darling that got swatted and pizza delivered. I think I was reading on that because I think they posted on Twitter, and there was a huge amount of support for her. So I was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know why that guy shot himself in the foot, but like I'm reading some of the the former reviews. How to ruin your game with one simple trick. Successful game companies hate him. Like, holy fuck. It's so stupid why he would do that. And the patch notes, like, I don't know what he was thinking that, sneaking anti-trans and like horrible shit into patch notes would just fly under the radar. Like, how stupid are you?
Yeah.
Oh, and they're actually still updating too. If you go to Keffals' Twitter page.
Mhm.
It shows that Steve Bonnell on a Ban Invasion account, and yeah, apparently they made an invasion account, like someone I know or whatever, to get through and still talk crap.
Yikes. What an absolute shit show. I mean, that was a great way to ruin your entire, gaming career of making games.
Oh yeah, like even on the alt Twitter, was it called Gab? I think is what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he was even complaining over there, saying he brought in $1 million in revenue for Steam, and once Gabe Newell hears about this, the VPs and customer service are going to have a lot to answer for, and God will find a way, Guy will win, so forth and so on. And just
It just makes
I'm
you shake
proud
your
of her.
head.
I really am proud of her. I mean, she
Yeah.
even said something as a statement on Twitter, and she's resilient about this too. Is she said, "I'm proud of all of you for doing what people told me cannot be done. I'm taking the day off tomorrow to celebrate. Soon we will begin our efforts to get FiberHub, the company that owns the servers Kiwifarms is hosted on, to drop them. When a multi-billion dollar corporation like Cloudflare has to drop Kiwifarms because of an imminent and emergency threat to human life, it is no longer a matter of free speech. Removing Kiwifarms from the internet is a matter of public safety for every single person online." Because they were historically going after trans individuals, including Christian Weston Chandler, or Christine rather, I should say. I need to be respectful. Because I'm used to Chris Chan. They used to be the CWC forums, and they switched over to Kiwifarms. So that's a little bit of a back history on them.
Yeah, it just boggles my mind that,
yeah.
you would just destroy your career that fast.
Yeah, I'm just
Like it,
for as shitty as gamers can be. With our first story, with is this character trans, to the support that's received by a political commentator and streamer who is trans, who is being absolutely just destroyed. Well, she's not destroyed, but being attacked by bad actors. That it's something absolutely needs to happen. What actually great that came out of this is that the Domina game has just taken a dive. It was review bombed. The developer is a piece of garbage, and there was another developer that I was actually forced off in the same way. Are you familiar with the game Five Nights at Freddy's?
oh
Yeah.
no, what happened?
Well, the original developer who was actually working with that particular game, the internet found out that this developer, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, you could probably find it later, he actually gave money to organizations that actively fight trans and gay individuals. So that's what he was doing with his money. The internet didn't like it. And he was like, you know what? This is becoming a threat to me, my family, and my new baby, so I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm selling Five Nights at Freddy's.
Huh.
Yeah. So I'm just really glad that actually happened. As far as that's concerned, I mean, wipe the scum off the face of the earth, but don't be a dick about it to other people. I mean, if it doesn't fit your lore, right? So, but speaking of bad reviews,
This next one's fun. Well, not fun, but it is kind of amusing in a way.
well, the way it was explained, this is a Cowcat Games developer of Brok got inundated with key requests and sent keys for a completely different game. They actually sent demo keys, which was interesting. So it's kind of a different game, but it's for the same thing. The story behind this is there was a curator group, and I don't think that curators actually can request keys on official Steam channels, but the developer can only give out 100 keys to their game. You were going to say something, Ivy?
Yeah, I was gonna say they on the developer's Twitter account, they posted like a screenshot of their Gmail, and holy crap, it's like just dozens of people demanding keys and being like, "I'm a curator, give me a key." And yeah, so with all those like that inundation of key requests, he's like, I wonder how many of you are bots. Let me give you a key for Prologue and see who contacts me back to say, hey, you gave me the wrong key. Apparently, very few people did. The rest were all fucking scammers or bots.
Yeah. And that was a brilliant move on this developer's part.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
he's like, hey, here's a demo of my game. And gave him the keys. And of course, those got turned around and sold on the gray market. And, well, let's just hope that refunds were forced from the people who decided to scam our developer friend. And
I don't know how refunds work on GTA or G2A. But I mean, I can almost guarantee you, and the developer even says so himself, that he figures a lot of those keys ended up on places like G2A.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading a thread from a developer about 3 years ago, 4 years. No, actually, it was a video on. I think it was the Co-optional podcast with Total Biscuit before he passed,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about G2A and how bad of an impact it had on indie developers because they give out these keys, and the idea is that you as a reviewer, you're going to review the game, you're going to say good or bad things about it, and they're always, of course, hoping for good reviews, but they always hand out a small number of keys to make sure that their game gets some publicity. And one reviewer found a good chunk of the keys he sent out were ending up on G2A because he'd actually uh, marked them in his servers or somehow marked the keys as like, these are the demo keys I've had, or these are the pre-release keys or the review keys I've handed out. And a bunch of the keys that were being activated from accounts he'd never sent them to. So it's sort of like, okay, I know these are being resold on somewhere else. And he was able to track one of them down or a couple of them down on G2A. So it that whole scam of these people demanding keys like this just goes right to that whole like people just being completely unethical and just wanting to make a quick buck at the expense of a poor developer.
Indeed. And even G2A has been in the news quite a bit over the last 5 years or so, like you said, for I guess I would say laundering keys. So what would happen is a publisher would release their keys, and it would be cheaper in one country over another. And what would happen is that those keys would get snatched up for a cheaper price in that country and then sold elsewhere because the keys aren't region locked, right?
Yeah.
So then that was, I think, during the co-optional podcast you were talking about, because Total Biscuit went off hardcore on the whole thing and how it's not really an ethical thing to do. So the gray markets were a big topic back then for essentially, it's not really theft of money.
Well, technically it would be because it's not really theft because you gave them away in the first place, but it's completely unethical. What these people are doing is because they're getting a key for free and selling it for profit, and none of that money is going back to the developer. So I guess you could say you are stealing revenue from them because that key was being resold and you provided it to them under the auspice that it wasn't going to be resold. So I guess you might have a case for theft. I don't know how much of your laws would apply to that in the U.S. there, but you might have a case for fraud in Canada for having someone get a promo key and then turn around and resell it type thing.
Loss of revenue, and a lot of times there's also terms and conditions on the release of those keys that you have to agree to.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you can just go to Steam and request a game and get a game, but you've already agreed to Steam's terms of use, and I'm sure you're familiar with those, I mean.
Speaking of which, they did just update it. Go ahead.
I mean, at least with me, I just kind of like refunded a game, but I never sold a game to anybody. I mean, I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Well,
yeah, when I ran a tournament years ago for a video game that's unfortunately out of business now, but one of the developers had contacted me and said like, hey, if you're going to run this tournament, that's awesome. Here's some keys for, permanent unlocks of skins and whatever. The only condition is you don't sell these or give them away. You can only give them away through the tournament. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And I mean, if I was completely an unethical asshole, I could have just turned around and sold them and made a ton of money off of them. But at the same time, it's like, no, I mean, they're given to me for a purpose. Let's use it for that purpose only.
Yeah, not everybody thinks that way. That's the way I operate. Hey, this is for this. Okay, I'll do it exactly like you say. But where there's opportunity, there's always someone who will take advantage of that. And that's an unfortunate truth, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's anywhere. I'm pretty sure that in our own workplaces, we've seen individuals who are doing less savory things with at work than they should and have been walked out the door. I'm sure we've all got those stories.
Oh yeah, especially when you get promoted to customer.
That's my favorite. Promoted to customer. I used to joke all the time because we'd have higher up directors on the same floor as us. And when I was a vendor, the big joke was, see that guy right there? Be careful. Make sure he doesn't see you. He wasn't this mean, right? It wasn't that type of situation. But it's like, that guy, he'll be sitting there. Next thing you know, you'll hear a loud pop and you're standing in the unemployment line. Like, he will teleport you directly to the unemployment line.
Oh, actually, 2 people, including a commercial manager, got fired from my current job or one of my jobs or whatever because I found out that there were 2 people. Okay. So there's a man and a woman. They were doing the same thing. They were stealing stuff, selling products under the table to garages, and even people come in saying, hey, where's such and so, because, she's trying to use her cuteness, I guess, as an unfair advantage. I don't know. Anyway.
Her privilege.
Privilege, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, these 2 people were stealing from the store and, basically pocketing money, and loss prevention stepped in the picture, especially when the alarms were being deactivated at night, thanks to her. At 4:00 in the morning, around there, they didn't know each other were actually doing it, but large amounts of auto parts were actually being, unaccounted for, expensive ones. So they got found out and they got promoted to customer. And I don't know what the repercussions were for those items, but I'll have to figure all that stuff out later.
Yeah, I've got, there's a story that I have back when I worked for a large computer manufacturer. The leads on my particular warehouse team were they were great folks. I mean, they're all great folks, right? That's just the way they present. But there was a time when loss prevention walked in and walked out like 8 people. I was like, what's going on, right? And somebody had imparted to me that they were at the shipping counter where they were making labels and whatnot. They were changing the address of where it goes, and it was being shipped out. And they weren't doing it in a way that was, I'm trying to think, it didn't raise any red flags. You want how they got caught, because like it went on the trucks, it was shipped, it went to the place, but how they were caught was somebody called in for support, and the name on the original work order didn't match the person that was there. And they were like, how did you get this? We actually replaced this and sent it to someone else. What's going on? And they did the investigation. Turned out they were shipping it to their friends and family, which, by the way, if you're going to steal, please don't steal. Don't send it to people you know at all. And they were just
generally a bad idea.
Yeah, generally a bad idea. Anything that could point back to you is always a bad idea.
It's kind of like those people that deliver packages and then become the porch pirates. Because I saw like one clip where someone dropped off one package, grabbed a different package from Amazon, and darted back to his car after realizing that he was caught on camera, and he still took the package anyway. It's like, dude, you made your choices. You got caught.
He owned it. He walked away. He's like, all right, well, we're doing this now. Right. So back to toxicity, right? Because that seems to be the whole thing. People getting harassed, the toxic behavior by the community. And this next story is for a female streamer who just happens to be really good at Call of Duty Warzone. What was it? Amine. How do you say that name? Is it Amine?
I don't know.
Amine?
She's good. I watched her TikTok videos.
Oh.
Amine, I think. Nadia Amine, I think is how you say her last
You
name.
know, it looks
Nadia.
like
I can say that part.
Nadia.
I can do that one right.
Well, you know, it's almost like it's anime, but with the M and the N transpose, kind of like saying Diamondite
Yeah.
or Aminal. So maybe Amini. Okay. Amini recently ascended the charts for the most watched Warzone streamer on Twitch. So she's good, right? By mid-August, she had millions of followers on TikTok. The visibility came at a price, though. Warzone players have used her clips to make videos of her making a sandwich or washing dishes, which is degrading, folks. Come on now, right? We're not in that world anymore. And on August,
Unless you're employed to do so, but still.
yeah, like Subway. I could see that. Like if she was Twitch streamer by night, Subway sandwich specialist by day. All right, cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me at Publix.
And on August 13th, she posted a video about how she had been swatted by the police. So it's another case of swatting. So we've already had a transgendered female swatted by a shitty group of alt-righters, right? And yeah. And now we've got this whole thing. And I think, and I'm not trying to justify it, but have you ever sat and watched Twitch streamers caught cheating live on stream, any of the top 10s or anything like that of some of the stupid shit that goes on?
Oh yeah, especially with I saw on one of the Facebook streams where a friend basically caught someone aimbotting
Oh no.
in Fortnite of all places. So
Good Lord.
that became 145,000 people got to see that.
How are you that bad at a game that you need to aimbot?
Makes
I
for
just gotta
good
throw that
views.
out there. Like watching Nadia's TikToks, like I watched a couple of them. She's really fucking good. There were some people who immediately were like, "Oh, they were just standing there waiting for her to shoot them." No, they're moving, or they just stopped as they're spinning to try and track her to shoot at her. Like, ugh. These guys will just do anything possible to tear down someone else just so they feel better because of their own lack of skill. You know what we used to say back in my day? Get good, scrub.
Well, it's kind of like in PvP. Like I remember in World PvP, I used to be a threat to certain people on my disc priest. Like people would specifically try to target me and death grip me or something because I could be very brutal.
For quick reference, PvP and Disc Priest is all World of Warcraft related for those of you listening on the podcast or people who don't actually know. We talk about a lot of WoW stuff, Crit and I, so...
I love bubble priests. Those are my favorite.
No.
Heals that bubble, bubbles that heal, bubbles that bubble, then it heal.
Well,
Heals
the
that
thing
heal.
is, too, people are like, oh, well, you're not doing a lot of healing output. I'm like, dude, it's the freaking damage mitigation. You can't really heal something unless you're over-healing it, and even then, there's bubbles.
Blowing bubbles. Yeah, great class. So
I hated being a warlock and then getting dragged right in by a death knight. It's like, fuck off! Because then you're like stomped on within half a second.
But back to Omni, though, like,
Yeah.
the whole thing is people, again, toxic masculinity, the whole, like, stereotypical, oh, women belong in the kitchen. Yeah, this is our actual gameplay bullshit or whatever. Again, people feel threatened by women. Doesn't matter if you're a trans woman, doesn't matter if you were, born a woman or whatever, it's still that toxic masculinity. Um, oh well, it's kind of like with my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandfather got pissed off at my grandmother because my grandmother was a breadwinner. Meanwhile, my grandfather was the one going off to war for chump change at the time, pretty much. My grandmother was sitting at home making luxury wigs. She didn't have to have a cosmetology license for it. She just sat at home making that bread. And my grandfather hated it. He hated it. He didn't understand it. And it's the same thing with this. Like, oh, how dare someone be better at the game than I am just because she's a girl? Like, who the hell cares? Even Emily Autumn has a music video called "Fight Like a Girl" or whatever, because men are threatened.
Oh yeah. I used to play with a group of people all the time in one of the games that's now defunct that I used to play. But this one person, the game we played, Tactical Intervention, had a driving component, so you'd actually have like car races or like, good guy, good cop, bad cop, or a bad guy car chases through cities and down highways and shit. This woman we played with, Milk. Oh, good lord! If she got into a vehicle and you were on the other team, you were just done because she could drive over anybody very effectively, and she figured out a way to hit a oncoming car hard enough that it would cause people to get ejected from the car, and then she would just drive over you until you were dead. And people go after her because, oh my god, you're cheating. It's like, no, it's not even an exploit of the game. It's just the fact that the game is designed to knock you out of the car if you get hit in the right way. And she would run you over, and she was really fucking good, and guys would lose their minds all the time.
You know who else was really good on Emerald Dream, though, in World of Warcraft? My recollection serves me right if I shout out Lufifi, because she was a bomb-ass bumpkin. Oh my.
Damn boomies.
When you hear the squawk, it's time to run.
Yeah.
Well, what folks need to actually realize is that, and I've said, I think I said this in one of our first original podcasts for episodes, right? That people are people. It doesn't matter what parts you have. I understand that gender roles is a thing, but that's not the world we live in anymore, right? Like Crit's story with Grandpa and Grandma. Grandpa was not happy about the wife bringing home the majority of the money, and in that world, that was a thing. Like it was a social standard. Why is your wife bringing in more money than you are? Right? That's a thing. But here, not so much. And in the gaming universe, I was reminded a month back that I had actually put out a Facebook post, and I was like, oh wow, I can't believe I actually did this. But the Facebook post said, and it was a statistic I read at the time, I think it was, 2010, 2011, something like that, that 56% of gamers are women. And I was excited. I was like, all right, there are women with my interests. And then I was sad because they don't leave the house either.
And then I think to myself, if you're going to act that toxic towards like a woman, especially when, back in the day, they're like, oh, you can't disrespect a woman. You can't beat a woman. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have these guys that are going out of their way to fucking swat women and do all these heinous things. Like at that point, it's probably about time for you to turn in your man card and stop being a fucking pussy. Excuse my French.
No, I thoroughly enjoy that because, yeah, I mean, if you're that intimidated by a woman doing anything, whether it's making more money than you, having a better job than you, being a better gamer than you, get good and shut the fuck up. Like, there's always someone who's gonna be smarter than you, stronger than you, better than you at something. You just have to get over it. I mean, if you can't handle that, especially in a goddamn video game, holy Christ, go for a walk outside.
Or as they say, touch grass.
Indeed.
Touch.
Wait a minute, the grass might be better at lying down than them, so they might lose their minds and try and set it on fire or some shit.
Indeed. The moral of this particular discussion is be nice to each other. We're all people trying to accomplish the same goals. It doesn't matter about our body parts at all. Like, if you
Yep.
can heal, good. I need a healer. I like sticking my face in mobs' butts. Like, that's what you do, right? It's
I
like,
stand in fire.
Yes, we know
I'm in
Amy.
danger.
And you also rush off of cliffs and you forget to use your demon hunter wings, and then you're like, I'm dead.
Fall damage with a demon? No, no. Oh yeah, I've done that shit.
Mhm. I called
But
you out. I'm
hey,
sorry.
that's fine. At least I have never been banned on my Nintendo Switch, which I don't own, which is good.
Soon, Amy.
Soon. But yes, soon. But at least I won't get banned on my Nintendo Switch for playing Splatoon and cheating at Splatoon in the demo version of the game that's out right now.
Yeah, there was DRM present in Splatoon 2 that would detect if there was any modifications to the game, and people were banned left and right. Like, it wasn't just like a user ban, it was a console ban. Like, you screwed up, you had to go buy a whole ass new Nintendo Switch, and there was no way that you were going to get around that. And I even think they even banned you from Nintendo Switch Online. Right. So these folks got the Splatoon 3 demo, and they lost access to it because they used a mod to get to some special level. Let's see here.
They didn't want to play the tutorial, so they downloaded a user-made patch that skipped the tutorial and granted early access to Splatoon 3's testing range, which is basically the game's practice lobby. It worked, but then the players that were using it found they were getting banned.
Oh.
Wow.
So, hey, and this is just another case of, a bad case for modding. We've talked about mods before with VR chat and the usefulness that it can be and how it actually changes your game, which is why Skyrim will never die. It is the zombie of the game world, right?
Yep.
So,
But hey, Todd Howard will sell it 1,000 times, and you'll like it.
indeed, I'm waiting for it to come out for the for my car's console, so that way I can Skyrim as I'm driving along, using Steam, of course. So,
we will not talk about the number of mods I run for Kerbal Space Program.
right, it's a quality of life improvement. So,
Oh, absolutely. Like, I love mods that are for quality of life improvement. People who mod a game just to trying to get an advantage, well, it sucks to suck when you lose access to your whole ass console, losers.
It's like you want to mod a game to have a advantage over a game, but then you have the guys that are like, "Oh, she's clearly cheating." Like, really, you're going after that, but you're not going after the other that clearly is cheating. Got you.
Yep, they're just scared of women.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
no, that's fine. I enjoy like
It seems to be a favorite troll target, right? Like, what are they
It
going to
is.
do? And it's the perception that women are weak. Women are not weak anymore. Don't do it. It's a trap.
They never have been.
I know. I ended up getting one of my managers terminated from, well, former managers terminated from a grocery store for harassment. And then I doubled down and actually sued the company. They tried rehiring him again, but he got terminated again. And I'm just like, oh, glorious battle.
Why would you
delicious.
rehire someone who got terminated for harassment?
Because I needed a manager.
Oh, right.
They didn't want to, because he just got out of training and they didn't want to train another one. And they're like, what do we do? Got to terminate him again because he did the same exact thing to someone else. I'm like, oof, liability. Oof.
Jesus.
Man.
But yeah, the whole Nintendo Switch thing, I wouldn't recommend it now that, they caught on to it. But people are still gonna, it's going back to play stupid games, win stupid prizes. In this case, your game you can no longer play anymore. So GG.
All right, your Switch then becomes a shitty boomerang. It's nice. So
It is now an oversized paperweight.
You
Pretty
have now
much.
subscribed to Touching Grass.
indeed. So so that's the thing with Nintendo. Don't fuck around with their shit. Like we've covered this. What was it last podcast with them shutting down a Smash Brothers tournament because it was COVID, and they needed a way to play Smash Brothers Melee, and they found a mod to do it, and Nintendo was like, no, cease and
And the
desist.
emulators. And the
Yeah.
emulators too.
And the emulators can't even do that. Like it's their IP, their hardware, their licensing, and they're protecting it with all the vigor in the world. Yeah, don't mess around with Nintendo is the moral of this story. The last story that we have is Sony and Tencent acquire stakes in FromSoft. So for those that are new, FromSoft is one of the glorious publishers who produced the Dark Souls series. So that's Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, more recently Elden Ring, and the precursor to all of that, Kingsfield and Demon Souls. And if you own a PlayStation, the PlayStation exclusive Bloodborne. Fantastic company that I like the idea that they were invested in for easier publishing and more publishing access, which will allow them to explore other avenues of getting their game out, right? Did you read any of this, Amy?
I did, and I also have it right up in front of my face right here. So they are going to acquire roughly 30% overall, which allows the parent company, to Kadokawa Corporation, to retain just under 70% of the firm. Sony is working with Six Joy Hong Kong, which is a subsidiary of Tencent, to make these purchases. So Sony will get a 14.09% stake, and Six Joy will get a 16.25% stake in this company. So it's not bad. I mean, it's a fresh cash injection for the company. Sony gets to increase its market share in that space, and the publisher will then get more visibility elsewhere, because Tencent now has almost global reach as far as their publishing catalog goes, as far as where their games are being displayed and sold. So it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, it's really good. I look forward to seeing what comes out of it, because FromSoft is a fantastic developer. I want more hard, unforgiving games.
Kind of like Elden Ring.
Yep, that's the developer.
I haven't tried that game ever.
It is the most glorious thing in the world. Should you ever decide that you want to do some jolly cooperation, I'm your Huckleberry. Do you play Dark
Sorry,
Souls, Crit?
you clipped yourself entirely there.
Oh, I said.
Should you ever decide to
Should you ever decide?
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Awkward.
I love the Souls games. So if you ever want to go for some jolly it clipped me again. Jolly cooperation. I'm your Huckleberry. That's for sure. Do you play Elden Ring, Crit?
I do not, but my friend Jalen has been playing, and I've seen how many times he actually died, rezzed, tried attacking things, died again, attacked those things with the little trumpets or whatever that look like
Oh, the bubble
snow.
monsters, yeah.
Yeah, like he got so salty, and I'm just like, I feel bad for laughing at, I guess, his in-game misery, but I, I've been there enough to actually know his frustration, so that's kind of what makes it kind of funny to me, but I still feel bad at the same time. And I'm just like, I think what he told me, or what people tell me, is Elden Ring is Elden Ring. You're either gonna play through it and go through it and die a million times or whatever, or you're just gonna quit the game in nerd rage or whatever. It's geared towards a certain type of people, and it's set at one level, and if you can't do it, it's not,
Oh yeah, there was a whole conversation about please introduce an easy mode, and they were like, no,
No.
no, this is meant to be challenging. Everything in there can be beat, right? There's a way to do everything, and it's different for everyone depending on what your build is, and that's fine. It's another one of those get good games, and that's the way the community is. So if you can't hack it, get good. There's folks out there, I think even Asmongold, he did Elden Ring with no summons, no cooperation, no help, and The folks that do, they're not a real Souls player, and I've been doing Souls for quite some time, since Dark Souls 1. Like, I ran the crap out of the game. I'm nowhere near the speedrunner that like Lobos Jr. or any of those famous games done quick folks. But yeah, I was doing weird stuff like, I have no clothes, I have no weapon, I'm gonna run through and punch everybody in the face, and that's what I did because it was a thing that you could do, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like me with Hardcore WoW and Season of Mastery, where I took a hunter, because it was like the road to Ragnaros, and I decided to go against the grain and do a naked hunter, and it I did good. I died a few times. I got to level 43 before a gnome kind of decided to pull everything into Neris and got me killed. And I was like, I'm gonna take a break now.
So I'm actually thinking about getting it back into Dark Souls again. I really miss that game. I love Elden Ring, but we'll see what happens. But I think that's about it. Anything else that we need to touch on, Amy, before we wrap this up?
No, we hit all of our topics tonight. So yeah, good to end it.
Awesome.
It's been a fun episode. I've enjoyed this.
Yes. It's been quite a great episode. That's me sipping tea. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, despite my profanity.
The UDP
Whatever.
broadcast is
Squirrel you want.
perfectly balanced with no exploits whatsoever.
Oh no! Please don't sue us, Spiff. It's not entirely trademark infringement. Shit.
No, I guess I get kind of passionate. It doesn't really matter what gender you are, even if you're non-binary and stuff like that. If you're being unfairly harassed and, to the point where someone's swatting you just for, existing or just for being a better gamer than than other people or whatever, I get angry. It's like, what happens if it was my sister? What happens if,
Mhm.
someone I care about, in person or whatever, even when something like, and we're coming up on the anniversary of it, but September 11th, it didn't matter what you affiliated with, didn't matter gender, didn't matter, skin color. We were a community. We were a community that banded together and adapted to overcome in the midst of darkness. And it seems like a lot of people want to live in the darkness, and you have to understand, we already are going through so many things. We have a lot of sorry, we're going through so many things right now, cruelty in this world, but a lot of people don't understand. We don't have to tolerate it. We don't have to live through this. We don't it's YOLO. We only have one life to live. And what do you get out of it for bringing other people down when all they want to do is exist and live their life and do what they like doing, play their video games to the best of their ability? If you're going to be competitive, be competitive. If you want to go against certain gamers, regardless of gender, go against them, but don't trash talk them and swat them just to think that you potentially maiming them will make you a better person or a better player. You're still going to suck.
Very, very true.
It's okay not to like something. It's not okay to take out your aggression on it. It never has been. Don't get me wrong. We are all polarized in some way or another, and this is just another good example of it. Those who support, those who don't, and the thing that everyone needs to realize that we're all on Team Human, and on the planet Earth, and that's a thing, right? So, we're representing ourselves, and we need to act accordingly. Support each other. Think more of enabling each other as opposed to tearing them down just for your own shits and giggles.
Crits and giggles, yes.
With that, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a community is supposed to build up not the whole thing is, if you want a game to die, the best way to have it die is to attack people in the community, like I said, because if you're going to attack someone and some other people find out, people are not going to want to play with you, and you're going to get banned. So more than likely, you're probably going to go to jail for doing a false, wasting police time, and But yeah, I'm sorry.
No
all good.
worries, no worries. That's what we're here for. But we do need to bring this to an end. Let's go ahead and do our round table. Amy, what you got going on this week besides more Lich King?
More Lich King. I'm probably going to do a little bit more in Plate Up. If you haven't seen that, it's a little like restaurant running game. I will probably do a little bit more in Sweet Transit, and maybe try and crash an A10 or two in DCS World. But otherwise, that's my week. And then farming for mats for Crit Chicken.
Crit, what you got going on?
Well, I'm looking forward to Labor Day because I know a lot of people have it off, but I'm probably going to be working, and that's a good thing actually, because that money is going to be really good. But other than that, Lich King, of course, or at least a pre-patch for it, because my son got involved in the game. My little warrior chicken nugget. Um, uh, and my little raging chicken, I love him. But I'm probably gonna also browse games on Steam and try not to have a deficit in my wallet because of my curiosities.
Oh, I spent so much time this week looking at Steam because I wanted a good game. And I kept looking and looking and looking. And then I think Friday I was about to choose something, and I realized I have 600 plus titles sitting in my repository. I should probably go sort through that as opposed to finding something new to play. And I still didn't find anything. So that's going to be my week this week, is finding something awesome to play. But I also said that I wanted to play Dark Souls. So I may go get Dark Souls Remastered and do my usual bathrobe, broken hilt, run through and stab everybody's eyes. Who knows? I think that might
Murder
be a thing.
Hobo. Sweet.
Oh,
Pop
yeah.
the bubbles.
Pretty
How
much.
dare you play those horns? Pop them all.
Yeah, I haven't tried Elden Ring and streaming yet. That might be a thing at some point, but not anytime soon. Other than that, I've got the podcast to edit and cut and everything else. I think this particular episode is probably going to be a bit more profound, so my scoping of what I'm cutting out will probably be more profound statements as opposed to hilarity, because we're missing our Nordic Cajun. He's off in the wild mountains of the Florida coast.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
He was also on a boat last time we saw.
I'm on a boat. Yep.
Yeah, that's the first thing that went through my head when I saw that picture.
Got his flippy flappies.
Boats and
Yep.
hoes. All right, so
Oh no.
the funny shall return hopefully next week.
Wait, are you saying that I'm not funny?
Oh, you're
Oof.
Ooh.
Crit, you are perfectly balanced with absolutely no exploits whatsoever. There we
I
go.
like that balanced because LOL Crit Chicken. Yay.
There we go. It's relevant. All right. So, but yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget to give us a follow at IME21 on Twitter, Needs Espresso on Twitter, and Luminary Weekly. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other stuff that you're supposed to. Click the bell, call the gargoyle, order a pizza, all the stuff that's involved with keeping track of what it is we're doing. And we'll see you again next Saturday.